which declares AI a national strategic priority and is the first of what is likely to be many massive AI backstops to come. This is being called a Manhattan Project for AI, and I'd argue...
All right, sorry, I'm in Christine mood right now.
And finish the week on a strong note. Okay, so with that being said, guys, do me a favor. As you come on in here, let me know where you're from. Let me know if you're ready to make some money to close out the week. And then let me know if you ate good on today. Listen, man, I know holidays and all of that kind of stuff might have different connotations for people, but still, if you chose to chill by yourself, that's cool.
I missed a comment
if you got
yesterday.
some family and friends, that's cool. If you don't celebrate this holiday, that's cool too. But regardless of that, we get ready to get to the money around here, okay? Because we got one more day to put the smack down on the market. So if y'all ready to make some money tomorrow, please let Coach know down in the comments below, man. But as you guys come on in, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. And hopefully your day has been good so far. But we got one.
It's Thanksgiving vibes, okay? Whoops. Unity software. So, let's talk about Unity software. That's the one with the U. Nope, definitely went Unity software. Obviously meant ticker symbol U. All right. Oh boy. Memory low. This is not so good. Okay. Let's just get into this before I run out of steam here. 400 million revenue is up. Okay. And stock and change early buyers lives, AXTI. Really want to talk about relative strength. So AXTI. God damn, the crypto people are back. Stop. Stop. Excuse me. Revenue is up to 20 million from 18 million. Materials company. Materials company, sort of a materials holding company in China. Oh my god, sounds pretty sketchy. Oh, the chart looks good. It's not a biotech, at least. Okay. Here we go. This one stock can change early buyers' lives. The company is Unity Software, ticker symbol U. They are the underbelly, the graphics engine for a lot of video games and simulation software, similar to the simulation software NVIDIA GPUs help with. So NVIDIA, of course, originally developed, largely used by gamers. So another application is graphics processing, game development. Unity helps with that. The simulation crossover is a big crossover to some big markets like vehicles, simulating self-driving, as well as just flow design over materials. And the second company is a materials holding company. It's U.S. Listed, obviously, and U.S. owned. A lot of its companies that are in the holding company are in China. The company is AXTI, ticker symbol, and it's holding at around $10. It's a low-priced stock, holding up exceptionally well. The market's been pretty choppy recently. Let's jump into these companies and some other companies around the market just to get a sense of where we're at. Last couple of months they've been chopped. I mean, the Trump's comments have not helped, but he did recently say he's going to keep the market up, which I think the translation for that is he's going to zip his mouth for a bit. So let's see if that happens. This is not financial advice, but hope this helps.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
All right, so here's Unity Software, 400 million, up 5% year over year. We can jump into this in a second if we need to. AXTI had 28 million, up from 18 million. So these companies are growing. Unity is not growing a lot. This is AXT, ticker symbol AXTI. They do a lot of optical 5G data center connectivity components that make a lot of sense as to why they're in demand right now. And Unity does a lot of visualization, simulation, basically what you use GPUs for. That's what Unity does. So they do help game developers, but they also help anyone who needs real-time 3D simulations. So not 4D. 4D, I guess, would be reality, but 3D, so in a computer. So anyway, if we just look at this chart, again, as I often say, sometimes people just look at a chart and they don't even care what the company does. And that's usually a good idea. I mean, well, it's not a great idea, but it usually works out unless you start saying, well, actually, in the case of NTRA, this is a good counterpoint. This is a biotech company that just kept going up. But there are companies, sometimes I misspell, NTLA, that do not keep going up. They have trial news that really you don't want to get caught in. So if we're being honest, it doesn't hurt to take a look at what the company is up to. Although this Unity does have a higher low from here to here. So doing technical analysis is not totally fruitless, especially on a company that trades. You can see the volume down here. $10 million. Well, actually 10 million shares for $30 stock. So that's actually $300 million. So anyone who puts $3 million in this, 1/100th of that won't move the stock pretty much at all. So they can put that in with the click of a button. So that's a good way to measure how liquid something is. For any account size up to the account size that these can hold. Obviously, some fund that has $1 billion is not putting money in Unity. If they are, they're putting it in over the course of a week or two. So, which will move the stock and actually creates the move. But for our purposes, I'm just going to assume no one's putting a position in here greater than, say, $5 million or even $20 million, honestly. So that's why these ideas are for entire days, not just for, like if I give an idea, it's not like you have to get the perfect entry. I'm not trying to give ideas that give, 1 or 2 day moves. I'm trying to give at least 3 day moves and realistically twice the average daily range. So in this case, that would just be 2 days at least. But this is a stock that moves a lot. 5% a day is a lot, right? If you're expecting a stock to move twice that in 2 days, 10%, that's significant. And I know we're getting super like mathy and all that, but it is what it is. This is a art piece of the price agreement between buyers and sellers that we get to see. So something that I've been wrestling with recently that's challenging and that everyone's been wrestling with really is, well, the SPY just went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in a row. Okay. So there's probably going to be a little pullback, right? And another period where it went up quite a lot, it actually gapped up. This is 5 days But if we look on a daily chart, this is 1, 2, 3. It's actually 4 gaps up. I think it gapped up a little bit into this selling. So pretty wild. This was a, let's see. This was a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Does that make any sense? I'm losing my mind here. Somewhere there's a missing day in here. But in general, you don't have to worry too much about what day is what anyway. It's just the only thing to sort of remember is that Mondays might have more buying. Someone could in the comments might say, well, my back test show that isn't the case, but in general, I think most people would say that is the case. So this is Friday, this is a Sunday, this is Monday. So Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. Okay, now we're starting to have some semblance. So this is a Friday, this is a Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, Sunday futures, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Something like that. Maybe this is a 3-day weekend. That's why I'm getting all messed up. But all this to say, this is Monday. Well, this is Sunday. This is Monday. So this is the kind of gap up that can happen on Mondays. Don't quote me on this, but it's something that I've especially noticed it with small caps to be real. But this is another gap up on a Monday as well, right? This is Sunday futures, and then this is Monday. I mean, this is crazy, right? This is over 1% gap up from Friday to Monday. So anyway, this week was a little weird, right? Because we had this is Friday, this is Wednesday, we had Thanksgiving here, and then this is Tuesday, this is Monday. Somehow I'm not seeing, because I'm back to a 1-day chart. That's why I got all confused. God, I'm confused. If I'm confusing me, I'm really confusing you guys. It's really that I keep looking at this 24-hour chart so I don't have to miss anything. But this is super in the weeds. And what the 24-hour chart does is it gives these wicks that show you what happened after hours. Because if you just look at a 1-day chart, all you see is this candle, and then this candle, and then this candle, and this candle. Which in this case is actually fine because it pretty much went sideways after hours. Well, actually, this is a little bit of a gap up. So this is Friday. Well, today. This is Wednesday. And then this is Tuesday because Thursday the market was closed. So that's what is showing here. And all this long explanation is to say that the market went up. This is kind of a lesson video. I know no one wants to watch a lesson video, but I already talked about Unity like a few days ago. So this is, and I'll literally tell you exactly when I talked about it, just in case you're totally stoked on Unity, which I do think is a good idea. But somewhere in here, if you see a U, that is when I talked about Unity. So pretty sure it's pretty recent. I think it was actually within the last week. So, here it is. Not quite within the last week. November 22nd. Okay, so you can go to the videos and you'll see it there. This is also just a test to see if these videos get views even when I basically don't talk about the stocks and just talk about what is actually, I think, useful, which is not always stock picks, but maybe how I'm thinking about this. So this is the oldest one, 4 months ago, somewhere like 3 months ago. So really 3 months ago, we'll say. And then the 22nd is going to be somewhere in here. So you can click on the video and just confirm what day we're talking here, right? If you really need to find Unity. I'm not going to find it in this video probably. Oh, actually I might. This is the 22nd. So it must be this video. Or one right after or right before it. So that is the answer for that.
Practical.
Yeah, right after. So this is core. So yeah, on this day, I did like 6 videos in a day. So leave a comment. This is obviously more of an observational video on the context of this whole channel and how this is reaching you guys. I know people are leaving comments in the live and saying it's not live or it's a loop. It's not a loop. It's just me. Sometimes I just don't look at the comments, so I might miss your question about some ticker. But anywho, this is Unity. I talked about what they do. I talked about the chart, and I do want to make sure I'll talk about this soon. The fact that when this market goes up 6 days and it pulls back, it's probably going to pull back whatever stocks I mentioned right now. So it's quite difficult to mention stocks that are large caps right now and expect them to go up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which is what is helpful, right, to give an idea. But for that reason, I think it's useful to mention a smaller company. I mean, this is kind of a large cap, maybe a medium cap. Some investment banker could tell me exactly how to classify this. It's a 500 million market cap. It's not a large cap. But here's the deal. They don't look like they're going to raise money, which is good, right? So you can buy it and they're not going to add a bunch of shares to the supply of shares and make the stock price plummet. So they have some money too, but not a lot. So the cash need is medium. So they have a little over a year of cash. So that's not a lot, but this is how they can raise money. By creating some type of registered direct offering or private placement, public investment and private equity pipe offering using this shelf. I really made a point not to open SEC and Edgar at all, but here I am. They have to put out this thing called an S3 that you might have heard of, and then they amend it and make tiny changes that if you read all those, you'll probably go crazy. And then they put it into effect, so that's how we know they can actually use it. But this is actually from years ago, so looks like they still haven't used it, and this one is not in effect, so that's good. That means they're probably not going to dump a bunch of shares on us, which is good. I know this is kind of a flippant video, but I'm just trying to give you a picture of, the broader picture here of what we're up to in terms of the market chopping around right now, and also in terms of basically technical analysis does work. This has a lot of volume and it's holding up. It's a smaller cap, so it can go, but probably want it to go sideways first. I mean, ideally it would pull back a little and then go up. So that's the idea. As for Unity, I mean, same situation. Ideally it would pull back a little and then go up. So I'm giving you this idea. I mean, if it just gaps up over the weekend, that's great, because then you can use this level as risk and look for a move to 40, high 40s, risk $1, make 10, right? So same thing with AXDI. You can use $10, whole dollar, psychological level, risk 50 cents or something, make $5. Or if it gaps up, then you can risk this whole shelf right here, which is pretty much $11, risk maybe 30 cents, and then try to make $3. So nothing particularly groundbreaking here, guys. Those are just some ideas. I'm probably gonna just yabber in a couple of these videos, jabber. and see how these do, because I'm still trying to figure out what YouTube wants, and YouTube is you, the viewers. Pretty sure you want me to talk about the companies in detail fundamentally, and I will do that at some point again, but it's a little test. I am running that $19 Cyber Monday deal, and yeah, if you want to get drop-ins and ask your questions, that's the way to do it. So take a look. See you in the next one.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. You get a free course out of it.
You is set to bring
Okay. Oh my God. So that's Unity and AXDI. Let's just keep it moving here. Stop. I don't know if the crypto people are real people who are paid very little, or if it's a bot or what, but ISRG and MMM. Alright, I'm going to do another minimum effort video. Buy every share of this stock you can. I'm not a financial advisor, but some financial advisors might say to buy as much as possible before December 1st. The stock is ticker symbol ISRG, Intuitive Surgical. And they're essentially the humanoid company of today. They're already doing a lot of procedures with their robotic assisted medical devices. There's another company, 3M, that you've heard of. They make the adhesives, tape, and they're a chemicals company. So they're a little slower moving, and they're also at a very favorable spot. So let's jump in a little breakdown on these two companies. This is not financial advice, but hope it helps.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
All right, guys. So again, going with a free flow video just to see if these people even watch these or what people want. I can't figure out YouTube right now. I did make the videos longer, like 15 minutes instead of 8 minutes, and then I have 3 videos a day instead of 6. I figure 6 is probably way too many that people want to watch per day. 3 is already a lot. But at least if someone can watch 1 out of the 3, and YouTube might favor it, I have no idea what's going on with YouTube. But I've got videos getting like 8 views, so something's up. This is Intuitive Surgical, $2 billion, revenue up 30%, 20% year over year. And this is the company. I know I should just make the videos better and stop complaining, but I guess this is just a test. So here's the company. It looks like a flag. I'm being kind of low effort here, but look, I mean, the thing is looking like it's going to maybe bounce here and then go up. And volume's drying off. Looks good. Here's the challenge right now, is we just went up 6 days in a row or something like that. So I was looking at this period too earlier today to try to zone in on what can you expect after a market goes up 5 days. Because sure, we could run some sort of crazy data backtesting thing, which would probably be good. But recently, this is what we've seen. Pretty much the only stock that did well is LITE. So this is that period. So I think what's so interesting here is, again, ISRG is the company and MMM is the other company that I think are at great spots to buy. And I'll give the risk levels right here too, just to make sure I get those out. I think this is definitely a spot. So 580, if you can break to 580 something and then you risk 580, you know, maybe you risk a couple dollars and make it go up. It goes up a lot. Otherwise, if it comes down to 560, like one of these moving averages, it's a 20-day moving average or whatever, this is 565, then you can risk 563 or something, and then it goes up from there and you risk $2, make 20. Those are some ideas. And then MMM, this might just go if it just the market gaps up on Monday or to Sunday futures. Then this level's awesome, 172.25 you can just risk, or 172 on the dot, we'll say. If this fails, or doesn't fail, but just meanders down and forms a higher low, it's already formed one higher low, then maybe 168 and you risk 167 or something, you know, some sort of level from here, 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 here. Maybe this high volume close actually is pretty good level. Yeah, that's probably the best one. 168, you buy at 169, risk $1, make 10. So no, this is super boring, like numbers. It's a chart. I know everyone hates looking at someone else's chart, but the chart does show where buyers and sellers are at. And yeah, so 169 or 172 would be the levels I would risk. And it's probably going to come down a little because I don't think the same thing with ISRG. What's most likely to happen is this will come down a little Monday, Tuesday. Because, I mean, this is crazy. This is pretty crazy. Almost 5% maybe, depending from lows. I think it is actually 5% plus in a little over, you know, week, 10 days. So anyway, we're still chopping around here for a couple months, really. And here's the deal. This is a period where we gapped up basically every day. This is a gap we see, but these are 24-hour candles, so I should just shut the heck up about the 24-hour candles and just use a normal daily chart and just be normal. All right, so here's the chart. Those are the gaps. And what's going on is when the market goes up significantly, this is the 23rd, okay? You expect all the big stocks to go up significantly then. And then the problem is, okay, so let's say it's the 22nd and you're trying to say, what stock do I buy? If you think, okay, and it's very hard to predict macro, right? It's hard to predict what the stock market as a whole is going to do. Obviously, otherwise we'd all be billionaires tomorrow. But if you can get a little edge, then you definitely want to be picking a stock that's a really large cap stock because it'll be more correlated with the market, right? Because the market is made up of stocks. Well, the market, I'm talking about the SPY, it's not equally weighted. So it's made up of it moves the most based on the biggest stocks. Or you could say the biggest stocks move the most based on when the market moves the most. Something like that, whatever makes sense to you, however you want to arrange it in your head. I like to arrange it in my head where, well, I kind of flip back and forth, I guess. But the point is, obviously on this day, the best stocks, I don't know about obviously, but the best stocks to pick in hindsight were the biggest stocks. So this is the 22nd, right? And when you look at all the biggest stocks, they went crazy, right? They compose the market composes them, whatever you want to call it. For the most part, besides ones that basically look like trash, which I kind of purposely picked this one because I know it's been going down recently and I wanted to see what it did during that period. But pretty much all the big ones had big runs after the 22nd. And if that run came into earnings, this is another thing I noticed, that was also a good move. Like Google kept going up. So Bloom Energy also, 22nd to 28th, and then earnings with a gap up. So actually, I mean, I guess you could say this was only day one. So the next days didn't really have an effect. So I don't know about that whole earnings theory I just said, but you definitely want to pick the big stocks, because the small stocks, they don't really get affected by the market. So say you thought RGTI looked interesting for a bounce here. The market going up did nothing for this company. It's not correlated with the market. It's like 100 million market cap or whatever. It's actually not. It's like $1 billion market cap, but it doesn't have any revenue. Compared to AMD, it's nothing, right? It's $10 billion. They have no revenue. It's a 10 billion market cap, but there's a lot of selling, so it just completely ruined that. So what is there to actually learn from this? Well, one other point, okay? So let's look at this day, 29th. So picking stocks here was also extremely difficult. Well, here is difficult, and here is also difficult, okay? Here being today. So it's difficult because if you go to AMD on the 29th, it just went down after that, right? NVIDIA just went down after that. Google, kind of an exception actually, but went sideways. So that's super relative strength. So if you do see a stock going sideways when the market's going down, even in a choppy way, that turns out to be a sign that this thing is going to go up at a later point. So that's important to notice, but you don't know that until the market's already gone down a lot. So, I mean, I guess you could say if the earnings were good, it was at the beginning of a breakout. That's sort of the theory I've got going with light, based. It went up during that period. Earnings were good. This is the beginning of a breakout, and then it was able to sustain through that time when the market went down. So that's sort of the light Google hindsight analysis, which I hate to do, but I got to give you guys something at a time when it's pretty tough to pick what stock's going to go up on Monday. Not that these are one-day ideas, but I know that's kind of how ideas get judged, right? So it's difficult right now because we just went up a bunch. And also because a lot of speculative names aren't really, I mean, they're wrecked, right? We just looked at RGTI. We didn't look at where the stock ended up. It's all the way down here. So it going sideways when the market went up, that's relative weakness, right? Or beta to the market. It's not even having the beta. It's like negative beta. I don't know. Some market head could tell me exactly what the Greek word is for that. But alpha is something that other people don't know, right? And beta just follows the market. So beta is all the big companies like I just described. And I guess the opposite of that would maybe be whatever's going on here when this does not go up when the market goes up. But the point is, quantum's going nowhere. USAR, the rare earths, are doing nothing. They do not even have beta. They got negative beta. Well, I don't want to say negative because that would be opposite, right? If we put a negative in here, that's what actually would be opposite. We don't want to be confusing. They got nothing. And so a lot of the IPOs too, I mean, Circle, like maybe it had some bounce here, Figma had some curl up, but I'm not one to call bounces. I know there have been some opportunities, like calling a bounce in the trade desk here was great. I mean, you got this gap up on earnings, you're up 70% until next earnings when you're right back where you came from. So, and here again, a little bounce up, you did get 20%, but as long as you're viewing these as like 1 month to 2 month ideas, that's fine. But if not, you're really in trouble because then you're down 20%. These have just rolled over. And maybe Meta continues to move. There's definitely a lot of demand down here, but Now it's definitely in no man's land. We already felt it was kind of in no man's land. I'm not sure any of this is worth buying. I mean, maybe when you see a candle of, this, it's almost like a 2%. I was thinking about SPY. Meta, the average daily range is more than SPY. So this is almost 3%. That's a big move. Maybe you risk the top of that and call that like a high volume close setup. Not that there's a ton of volume, but it's kind of like on an earnings day when the volume's big. You can, risk this level, something like this. I guess the close would be right here. So you'd be risking down here. And then you just can get a big move up, risking not a lot. So you can do that. But if you're risking here, you're up 4%. But I don't really want to be holding this. So I don't like the dip buys is all I'm saying. And there's a lot of companies that are sort of setting up. And I gave you the ones that I think are most interesting right now. Not Rigetti. I don't want to confuse anyone. But Intuitive Surgical and MMM. I've talked about others, Unity and AXTI as well, in recent videos. So those I think are most ready to go if you're just purely looking for an idea. And maybe purely looking at the chart or looking at your chart. But in all reality, I do think the market's going to pull back here. And, so I could give you some sort of inverse tricky stock to buy, tell you to buy not tell you to buy, but you know what I mean. Say PLTZ is an interesting stock to buy. It's not financial advice. These are just ideas, but maybe that'll bounce. I mean, that's the opposite of Palantir, right? So, or IONZ. But I don't want to get too tricky right now. I really just want to be real with you guys on a really basic level and say these look good, but you probably want to chill for like a couple days. I could be wrong, but December 1st is Monday, but you want to look at Sunday futures at least. So I would check in maybe midday Monday. So those are the ideas: Intuitive Surgical, ISRG, and AXT, ticker symbol AXTI. So if you like those ideas, hit the like button. If you want to subscribe, hit that subscribe. You'll get a free course on how to buy stocks before they go up. And if you want to try out that $19 Cyber Monday deal, I'll see you in the Discord. See you in the next one.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
Okay, that could have been quite possibly my most confusing video ever. Should be a new record.
One more day to get busy, even if it's a half day. So that's what I want to start with, guys. Listen to this. The market was closed today for Thanksgiving, but it's open a half day tomorrow, okay? So if you're Eastern time, for example, we're going to open at 9:30 and we're going to close at 1, okay? We got a half day. All right, so that...
All right. That already happened.
New to trading, to definitely consider paper trading, at least for 30 days before you start.
Okay. Let's just close it out here. ASML and end this. So I do want to do another sort of technical analysis video. I know people hate watching this, but if the videos aren't getting views anyway, then what's the point? So, semiconductor, like fab, and then it's like a GPU infrastructure company. Oh God, why is it in dollars? Put everything in dollars, for God's sakes. Okay. Somehow this says MMM, but it's still got MBIS. I don't know what happened here. 300% increase year over year in revenue. And just answer in USD for everything. Okay. Don't even show euros. It's very American centric here. Okay. Talk what they do. Okay. ASML, they're like a fab. And then NBIS is like a GPU infrastructure. Whatever. I just want to get some info out about, what's up, Jason? About what all these stocks are doing and how that relates to the market and like risk levels, which I know people don't want to talk about that. For the most part, I think people would just want to hear what stock to buy, what stock's interesting to buy, ideas, not financial advice, and then fundamentals about it. But it is what it is. Okay. There is one stock that is about to skyrocket. The company is a semiconductor fab company. So on top, you have these LLM companies, OpenAI, Meta, Google, and then under the layer cake, you have the basically data centers. And then to fill the data centers, you need semiconductors, chips, and then you actually need fabs to build the chips. So that's the cake. I guess power generation somewhere in there. ASML is in the fab section, so pretty near the plate of the cake. And this chart looks ready to go. They are $1,000 stock, but they look like they can go much higher. There's another company, NBIS, that does have a pretty close relationship with NVIDIA. They do GPU infrastructure. So I talk about infrastructure, I really mean software infrastructure. Basically, if you spin up a GPU on Amazon Web Services or on the modern equivalent of that, or something as little as Heroku, or I'm going to just date myself with these cloud services I'm talking about. Whatever you use to spin up a bunch of GPUs, NBIS helps with that, Nebius. So let's jump into the charts before I keep digging this hole. It's not financial advice.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
So ASML is super well known. They're a $300 billion company. However, check this out. Look at this base. So they've basically been going sideways for a full month now, almost 2 months. They had earnings, and then as the market pulled back, they pulled back with it, but not as badly. So to me, it could be reminiscent of Google. When the market pulled back after Google had earnings, Google went sideways and then had to move up. So that's what I see for ASML. And then we'll jump back into that. But the other company, NBIS, is sort of forming a higher low. And they do what I said. GPUs, NVIDIA, they actually are connected to NVIDIA. I'm not just name dropping names or anything like that. Here's the literal connection. NVIDIA invested in NBIS. So 700 million, not nothing either. So it has a higher low here, and sold off from earnings, at earnings. You can actually see the earnings sell off. Exactly. It's just sort of gradual. But, whoops, that's a scan. If you want to ask about scans, you can, how to find stocks. But, so this is what I think is most important, not necessarily the numbers, like the earnings numbers, but we can talk about those in a second if we need to. It's higher low here, and it went up a little bit, but the market went up a lot, right? So it's really hard to find stocks to buy up here, and it's hard to find stocks to buy up here, because look at the 28th for NBIS. So if we look at that, this is the 28th. NBIS got crushed, right? And ASML got crushed too. So these big companies go down when the market goes down. So what's most likely going to happen is they'll pull back to, say, you know, like 1,020 or something, and then you risk maybe 1,000, like this high or something like this, 1,018. Try to risk very little, a couple dollars, and look for a move of $20, right? And then for NBIS, it's a little bit different because it's kind of a dip buy in a sense, but it's not a total dip buy. It's, you know, it already had one jump, and then this was a big down day in the market. This was, so don't worry about this big red day, because if we look at SPY, this is the red day in the SPY. It was crazy. It was pretty scary right here. So not too worried about that. Little bounce after that. So here's NBIS, and I think if it could come down to 88, that would be a pretty good spot to risk. If it did come down to 82, that would be a good spot to risk too. So risk a few dollars, you know, 2 would be great. Risk 2, make 20, go up to that $100 psychological level. That would be the idea. So I'll jump into charts and sort of a state of the union for where the market's at. But first for ASML, just, you know, year over year, I guess we're talking about revenue growth and earnings. You know, we can give a chart by quarter. Guidance would be great as well. And you can do this. I mean, you can type this into ChatGPT just like I am, obviously. It's very approachable. But the good thing with ChatGPT is it doesn't give a lot of extra info. So unfortunately, looking at like earnings and sales from one quarter to the next, I think it's a little just a little rough. I mean, what did it even do? It didn't even produce what I asked it to, right? Now it's going to do it. So that's why I've been basically looking at the current quarter, where it has strong demand, you know, in the billions of revenue. So if you do look into quarter over quarter earnings and sales growth, you can, but that's not really that helpful in my opinion, because what you actually have to know is what was the expectation for each quarter, and then what did the earnings actually do relative to that expectation, and then also how did the chart trade at each of those moments. So instead of doing all that, generally what I do is I just look at the most recent one, and I don't even look at that unless it's just happened. Like with ASML, it hasn't really happened, right? It already happened. So you can risk that level. That's fine. That's a normal thing to do. This is the earnings day, so you can risk 1,030, which it's probably going to check back and do anyway. So that's another level in addition to 1010 or whatever I said before. If it comes to 1,000, that would be best. Yeah, and I think most people would agree. You can risk the earnings day, but in general, if you're getting super in the details, you can get a little lost. Where basically you can't just look at the earnings per share, because look, this earnings per share is bigger than that one, you know. And I'm purposefully sounding a little dumb here, but the earnings per share beat here and the stock went down, right? So anyway, all I'm really saying is that this thing obviously has a lot of price agreement here and looks like it's going to break out, but because the market is already gone up a bunch, it's probably going to check back a little bit. And it could be interesting just to take a broader look while we have some time here, aka I don't want to talk too much about individual ideas right now when a lot of the market's probably going to pull back the next couple days, Monday, Tuesday. So you want to take a look at these before December 1st, but you probably want to be cautiously optimistic. ASML, I don't think the float is even... I think the float is big. I don't know why it's not listed here, but this is a big company. I don't think you have to even think about the float. And for people who don't know, the float is, someone was asking in the live, Jason, it's how much shares we can trade. So if the float is like 10 million, like watch out. This stock could go down very soon, because they could sell a bunch of shares. So they don't need, so it's 400 million. So this is a big enough float. It's not it's not a huge float, but it's pretty big. So you don't have to worry about them selling shares in the market. But anyway, that's like extra details. All I really wanted to say, to look at here, was obviously this is what we want, right? We want to talk about stocks here before they just go on a run, like TSEM, okay? Or like Light, or like Google in the past month, which of course has been exceptional. You know, those performances are exceptional within the past month, given the market has gone sideways in the past month. So that's obviously the point, but one of the better ways to identify them maybe is just lack a correlation to the market as a whole. So that's another reason why float is kind of something to know. This could maybe be like a little lesson video. We'll use Claude because it's a fancy educating, if you know, French teacher or whatever. What is float in stocks? Like if you haven't heard float, I'm just going to say it a lot because you might want to hear that a few times. So it's the number of shares that we trade in the public. So it doesn't include insiders, like lockups or restricted stock units that employees get, or buybacks. So if it's small, watch out. But anyway, TSEM is actually not a big company. Not to be confused with TSM. I know it's not TSM, and I still, what's the word? Associate it with TSM, which is not healthy. The TSM float is probably less than 200 million. Yeah, it's 100 million. So it's kind of a sweet spot. Like right now, for example, I know I just told you about ASML and NBIS as interesting ideas right now. And those are like hundreds of millions for the floats. That's kind of the sweet spot. TSCM is also 100 million. When you start talking about 10 million floats, not only do they not follow the market, they don't even follow like accepted guidelines of like human decency. Like a stock might go sideways and then just drop like 50% in a day because like some holders of the stock just decided to mess with everyone, right? So that's not really going to happen in a company like TSCM or NBIS, these 100 million floats. But anyway, the point is, these kind of stocks do get interesting. So it's good to mention, actually, on a day like today, I think, AXTI and NBIS for that reason, because they're like 100 million floats. They're not billion or multi-hundred million floats. I don't even know what is the float of like Tesla, right? Like 400 million? Yeah, it's in the billions, right? So you don't even talk about floats for these companies because it just doesn't matter. No one's going to mess around with Tesla unless you're a multi-billion hedge fund, then maybe you're getting messed with, but you and I are not, right? So anyway, at a period like this, it's nice to look at some of these energy companies that have relative strength as the market goes sideways, and maybe this is actually a pretty interesting stock, BKR. I actually have it on the list here somewhere. Yeah, see, I have it really near. So I chose 6 stocks for today, right? And BKR is the 7th one. So I'm sure I'll talk about this tomorrow. But in general, the reason I mentioned these was they went sideways as the market went down, and they're not super extended. Some of them actually are a little extended over the past 4 days. So they might have a pullback, right? I mean, ASML just went 10%. It's probably going to have a pullback before it goes back up. But maybe, and I'll mention this tomorrow, but you know, if you can really, it's such a delicate balance because this one, it moves slowly. So you don't want to get into this, but I guess it has gone up sort of 5 days in a row. This is not an up day, the red day. But it just broke out. So it's also, you can risk the breakout level. So that's good. So you're just balancing all these different things. Yeah. So you just have to sort of, it's not an art, you know, but it's not a science. It's like it's like an AI, you know, it's both. So AMQR, same sort of situation. This will be interesting if this pulls back and then goes. So those are some ideas. I'm going to sign off, but love the live interaction and love this video recording. Hope it helps you. ASML and NBIS definitely look interesting. So if you like those ideas, hit that like button. If you want a free course on how to buy stocks before they go up, hit that subscribe. I post that in YouTube posts once a month for subscribers. And if you want to take advantage of that $19 Cyber Monday offer, I do daily Monday through Friday drop-ins in there, kind of like this, but more detailed. And you can also ask any question there directly. So check that out at stockscommunity.com. I'll see you in the next one.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam